Hey guys, today we're going to continue on with our study of waves, and we're going to learn more about waves. That's why it says more about waves here. Today we're going to see that there's two categories or two types of waves that we're particularly interested in. We're going to learn about wave interference. Um, Turns out there's two types of wave interference as well, and then finally we're going to finish up with standing waves, and that should be enough for one day. Okay, there's going to be a couple of videos in here that the links are in the assignment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk for a little bit, then I'm going to have you pause this video, watch one of the other videos, then come back to this one for a little bit, and then watch the other video, and then come back to this. We're going to be bouncing back and forth. I unfortunately don't have the ability to embed videos off of YouTube into what I do here, at least not at the time that I have available to me. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but anyway, so yeah, you're going to be bouncing back and forth a little bit. Now, I do want you to take notes on this stuff. It's much better if you have this information in one place. It's pretty visual. I think you'll be able to fit all of this onto one page without too much trouble. And then when we come to our open book, open notes test, you'll have a page of notes for this content. You'll be in good shape. Okay, so let's start off here. I said before there are two types of waves, and I'm going to have you watch the video in a second that introduces this again, but I'm going to give you the brief preview first. So the first type of wave is called a transverse wave. Transverse wave. And what makes a wave transverse is that the medium moves perpendicular to the direction of the wave. So the wave travels this direction like a wave through a rope, and as the wave passes through the rope itself goes up and down. So the medium, which is the rope, goes up and down as the energy moves to the side. That's a transverse wave, and in the video they'll have some pictures of this and illustrations of this. Very nice. So the other type of wave is a longitudinal wave. And in the video, he's got a British accent, so he pronounced it longitudinal. But generally in America, we pronounce it longitudinal, but that's all right. And in a longitudinal wave, the medium moves parallel to the direction of the wave. So just like before, the wave travels to the side, but in this case, the medium oscillates back and forth parallel to the direction that the energy is moving. And again, he'll have some illustrations of that in the video, so it will make more sense. What you need to know is that there are two types and what the how the medium moves in each type. You also need to know some examples of each, and he gives those in the video. So now, please pause this video, watch it. The link there is for transverse waves versus longitudinal waves. All right, and then when you're done with that video, come back here and we'll continue on. Okay, welcome back. Now we're going to move on to the next one, which is the concept of wave interference. Okay, now what do we mean by wave interference? Before this unit, we talked about physical objects and the physics of moving objects like baseballs. Now, if two people are throwing baseballs or snowballs at each other, that's appropriate for the storm that's coming. Throwing snowballs at each other, each of those snowballs is carrying some energy along with it. And we're trying to hit our opponent and make their face sting or whatever. But if those two snowballs collide in midair, they will hit each other and stop each other, and they'll transfer their energy to each other, and they may explode or bounce off in some way or fall to the ground. But the two snowballs, the two baseballs, will never pass through each other. Okay? But waves are different. Waves do pass through each other. So that's the first thing. However, as the waves pass through each other, they do what we call interfere. They interact to affect the amplitude of the individual waves. So sometimes they combine to make a larger wave for a moment, and sometimes they combine to make a smaller wave for a moment. But they interfere and they change each other's amplitude as the waves pass through each other. Now, again, there's going to be a video here where he talks about that. And before I go to the pause the video slide, I do want to say the video is for a slightly higher level. It's for AP Physics. But the information he has is very good, and it is easy to understand. He just goes kind of fast. Okay, so it's a fairly short video. I think it's like 6 minutes long. Feel free to pause it and rewind a little bit to see what he's talking about. Okay, but it's very good. He covers a lot of ground. He starts off with wave interference, and then finishes up with standing waves. So now's the time. So watch the video about wave interference and standing waves. Like I say, you may have to watch it a couple times or pause it and rewind bits so that you can get all the parts out of it. What you need to know is how waves interfere. When do they make each other larger? When do they make each other smaller? That's really the gist of it. And then also pay attention to the part on standing waves. I'm going to come back after this and summarize standing waves a little bit. So wave interference and standing waves, that's what you need to get out of this. Okay, so pause the video, watch it, and then come back. Okay, welcome back. And now we're going to summarize the standing wave bit. So here it is, wave interference with standing waves. We have some terms that we need to know that go with this information. And everything that I'm telling you is on page 381. Yes, it's on page 381 in the textbook if you want to check it out there. Okay, so here we have a diagram of a standing wave. And the idea is this is like a rope, which is attached at one end, and we're shaking the other end to produce a standing wave. I do this in class, and it's really easy to see what's happening in class. And those of you who are at home today, I promise I will show you next time you come back to school. I'll show you a standing wave in class. But there's some terms that we've got to have. First is the concept of nodes. Okay, nodes are the places in the standing wave where the rope is not moving at all. So these parts here are bouncing up and down, but these parts here remain stationary. And those are called nodes. So those are the places where the rope is not moving or where there's no motion of the medium in the standing wave. Okay. The other one is thing that the peaks, the high points, the parts that are moving back and forth, those are called antinodes. And that's where we have maximum motion in the medium. So for the rope, that's where the rope is flapping up and down really fast. So nodes have no motion. Antinodes have maximum motion. All right, now, where does interference come in on this? Well, we have maximum motion here because this is where we have constructive interference. This is where we have peaks, or crests rather, meeting crests, and troughs meeting troughs. We have extreme crests and extreme troughs. Constructive interference, maximum motion. Those are the antinodes. Now, for the nodes, in contrast, that's where we have destructive interference. And this is where we always have a crest overlapping with a trough, or vice versa. Or sometimes, and if we have a slight upward deflection from one wave, it's going to meet a slight downward deflection from the other wave, and they're always going to perfectly cancel at that point. Those are called the nodes. There's no motion there, and it's the result of destructive interference. Now, one last thing. This is very important because this catches a lot of students, and he did not cover it in the video. Okay? When we look at this waveform right here, this is a standing wave. When this lobe here, when the rope is down at the bottom, making a very deep trough, this node here has a peak, has a crest. This is the upward deflection. This is the downward deflection. And then in the next phase of the standing wave, let's get my hands right here. Here we go. Then they're going to switch. Okay, so at one moment, if we took a stop action photo, this would be a trough, this would be a crest, this would be a trough. And then if we wait for another half cycle, this becomes a crest, this becomes a trough, and this becomes a crest. So they're doing this. Okay, that's as the wave goes, as the standing wave goes, they're just kind of rising up and down alternately. Now, what this means is that one full waveform goes from here through the crest, through the trough, and to here. Okay, so one full waveform is two lobes of the standing wave, because when one lobe is a crest, the other lobe is a trough, and then they switch, and the first lobe is a trough, and the second one is a crest. So the complete waveform is two lobes. And this diagram we have right here is 1.5 wavelengths, or 3 halves of a wavelength. Okay? And that's something I want you to be able to do, is to identify a diagram of a standing wave and tell me what the wavelength is. Okay, so that's that. We have covered, and the videos have covered The two types of wave, transverse and longitudinal. We've learned about wave interference, how it works and what it does. We've learned that there's two types of wave interference, constructive interference and destructive interference. And finally, we've learned something about standing waves. Okay, thank you for your time. We will see you next time.